Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Dani and I are super excited for today's webinar. Dani, how you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Happy Thursday,
Awesome.
everybody.
Yes, it's Thursday, almost time for the weekend.
hmm
We are super excited to walk through some interesting trends that we're seeing in the fundraising landscape and specific to Wise. So we're going to jump into that presentation, but before we do, we just want to sort of remind everyone why we're here. You probably heard about this webinar through the YMCA challenge. And for those of you that are new to this or need a reminder, the YMCA Challenge is a collaboration with Daxco, our friends over at Daxco, where we're granting a $25,000 unrestricted cash donation to one lucky YMCA association. And essentially, how you participate is through this 6-month challenge campaign that we've designed to hopefully help sharpen your skills around all things fundraising related. So we've designed and created challenges that you can earn points for. So today's webinar, everyone that is participating will earn 5 challenge points, which will be updated tomorrow on the leaderboard. So congrats on receiving 5 points. But there's a list of challenges that have happened if you've already registered for the campaign, or if you haven't, you can do that here and receive a challenge point. Daxco has also inputted a couple different challenges around SEO audits and community scores and so forth. We also have a demo challenge where you can take a demo with Dani to learn more about Funraise and receive some points. And we'll also be at NATO in about a month and a half where we'll be leading a workshop, giving out some points. We'll have big QR codes on our shirts where you can come scan to earn some points as well. So we're super excited to really kind of dig in on that. So that's the challenge. And by way of introduction, my name is Justin Wheeler. I'm one of the founders and the CEO at Funraise. I've spent 13 years building and fundraising for nonprofits and excited to kind of talk through some practical strategies to help you all out in your fundraising efforts this year. So before we move any further, I'd like to turn over the mic to Dani to introduce herself as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I feel like there are a lot of people here that I know already on this call. I saw quite a few familiar names, whether they are existing customers. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. If you've attended any of the NATO webinars, you've probably seen my face there. And then I know I've probably been in maybe a few of your all's inboxes as well, asking to talk fundraising. I really am that passionate about Funraise and YMCAs. But for those that I haven't met, my name is Dani. I've been with Funraise for over 7 years and currently serve as a fundraising strategist and account executive, which means a lot of my days are spent on the front lines with YMCA staff like yourselves, exploring fundraising technology, strategizing on ways to grow, and making sure our Ys are equipped with the most modern fundraising tools on the market. We've compiled quite a few of the trends that we're seeing in those conversations today. And then for those that are new to Fundraise, or maybe you don't know about what we are, we're a nonprofit technology partner that helps our YMCA clients grow their digital fundraising. We work with over 60 YMCAs nationally and internationally to help them convert more members to donors, maximize their annual campaigns, and improve donor stewardship. So we're really excited today, as you know, and as Justin mentioned, there's an exciting prize on the line, that $25,000 unrestricted grant that will be awarded after NATO. But that said, we're here to learn. We're here to have a good time. Fun is in our name. So please don't be shy. Feel free to chime in the chat, react on Zoom. We want to see and hear from you. So the more engaging we have it, maybe the more chances you are to win. Of course, as Justin mentioned, there are your points for getting here, but we also have a really fun little spinner wheel here today where a few lucky Ys that are in attendance will be able to get randomly selected for some extra points. So be sure to stick around and see if your name gets chosen. But again, we're really excited to be here. Justin, I'll pass it over to you to kick things off,
Awesome.
and let's get to it.
Let's actually start with a spin. So as
Ooh,
Danny mentioned, we're going to be spinning this wheel to give out points to everyone that's here. We're going to be giving out 10 points per spin, which means if you're lower on the leaderboard today, that can actually put you at the top of the leaderboard by winning these points. So we're giving out a lot of points. We're going to cover 4 trends, and then Danny's going to do a light demo at the end, super light demo of a new feature that we built specifically for YMCAs. In between each point, we're going to pause and we're going to spin the wheel because we really want to ensure we give out as many points as possible today. So, Danny, I'm going to pull up the wheel and I'm going to give it a spin. And if you could call out the winner as it comes out here, let me see.
all
All
right,
right.
virtual drum roll here.
And let's give this a spin.
All right, Jody Perry, you are our first winner today. Yay, congratulations. That is 10 extra points that you're going to get just for being here today as a thank you from us and hopefully an extra boost towards perhaps winning that grant. So Jody, be sure to be on the lookout for those extra points added on our YMCA challenge site.
Awesome. We're going to give it one more spin before we start. And one thing just to remind everyone how the points work is points are basically equal to like raffle tickets. So when we go to draw the winner for the $25,000 grant, the more points that you have increases your odds of winning that $25,000. So that's why the challenges are super important to fulfill if you want to compete there. Let's go one more and then we'll jump into the presentation. Chris Gonzalez,
All right, Chris.
congratulations.
Yay.
Awesome. Congratulations for winning those 10 points. With that, let's jump straight into our presentation. So we're gonna talk about fundraising trends, and some of these I think are gonna probably feel a bit obvious. And I think the opportunity here is how many of these things can you implement in 2026 to increase your overall fundraising capabilities as the landscape continues to shift. And I think it continues to shift towards a more generous donor, and especially when we can meet the donors where they are at. So we're going to walk through the importance of your giving experience and why that actually matters. We're going to talk about the e-commercification of giving, ways that you could position your giving form that will align with donor behavior and how they consume other things outside of giving to your nonprofit. We're going to talk about asset-based giving, which I think is an exciting opportunity for every YMCA to really dial that and to ensure that is incorporated in the main giving experience. And then Danny's going to walk us through digitizing your annual campaign with some examples of YMCAs that have gone above and beyond to crush their annual campaign goals. And then we're going to end with like a 2-minute sneak preview of a new feature just released around pledge automation that I think will be extremely useful for campaigners, staff, and so forth. And so we're going to walk through these 5 points over the next 20 minutes or so. Giving experience. So the first thing that we want to kind of anchor around is a giving experience. And you know, most donors today are digital natives, right? I mean, if you think about this, if you take a step back and you just think about sort of how your donors consume information or buy products online, it shouldn't feel like such a different experience when they're coming to your website to participate, whether that's to sign up, to volunteer, whether that's to become a member, whether that's to make a donation. You should be providing familiar experiences that your donors are having across the internet today. As sort of an example to that, when you think about some of the largest companies that provide very smooth experiences, whether it's a transaction, whether it's sending money to a friend, whether it's buying something online and getting it nearly the same day, or calling a car, these companies have prioritized one thing, and that's user experience. They know that in order for them to win and to grow, that the user experience has to be at the forefront of their technology and the way that they acquire users. You know, Amazon is famous for in management meetings having an empty seat at the table, which represents the customer, right? Because as they think about making decisions, they're like, how does this impact the customer? I think we should be asking the same types of questions when we're launching campaigns or when we're launching initiatives to get our supporters, our members, our donors involved. How does this impact our donors? Things that are common threads across the internet and something your donors absolutely care about is speed in the transaction, it's transparency, and it's personalization. And we're going to talk about some of those things in more detail in the coming slides. One thing that great companies have embedded across sort of the checkout experience are what we call digital wallets, right? Digital wallets essentially is the ability to store your credit card information securely in a wallet like Apple Pay or Google Pay or Venmo or PayPal, so that when you go to purchase something, you have the ability to do so without having to pull out your credit card. And it might seem, it might seem like common sense, but so many giving forms on the internet today do not allow you to use a digital wallet, which creates friction in the giving experience. Enough friction to the point where a donor may not actually complete their donation because they may not have their credit card on them, or they may not want to hand key, 15 digits into a giving form and an address and a zip code and so forth. So digital wallets definitely increase the transaction speed for organizations, and it's something that you should absolutely have as part of any giving experience across all of your channels. Some interesting some data through Apple Pay, which is widely used across the Funraise platform. It basically gift sizes increase 160% when the Apple Pay option is there, and 26% of iPhone users give through Apple Pay. Right, so that's a lot of that's pretty impressive number of people in terms of contributing through Apple Pay, but also just the growth in gift size, 160% more is also interesting. So digital wallets not only increase speed, but can also help increase the gift size that you're collecting from individuals. The last thing on giving experience, a lot of giving forms today, a lot of the way organizations and Ys have collect information is actually through like a vertical form. And there's a lot of data, a lot of research out there that shows actually a horizontal form, a walkthrough, a step-through process, reduce the cognitive load on the user, ask only for a couple pieces of information, and then progress the donor forward actually increases the conversion by 75%. And so if you're looking at your website and you're going to your giving page, and if it's just one long page to give, the chances are you're missing out on low-hanging fruit, on individuals who just aren't going to convert because it feels like a college application, not a quick, easy checkout experience. So hopefully that's helpful in terms of experience. There's a lot of other things we could cover, and we have content on around how to build the best giving experience. But I think these are some of the nuts and bolts to be thinking about as Ys. Okay, let's talk about the e-commerceification of giving. And I mentioned this earlier, but your donors have embedded familiar experiences through their navigation of the internet. And if you look at any company where you purchase something online, the checkout experience feels the same. It feels similar. It's easy. It's fast. And this is what donors have come to expect when giving to their favorite organizations. And so I want to talk about four different, three things that every giving form should definitely include, and talk a little bit more about different payment methods as well. So first is the recurring upgrade. We live in a subscription economy, right? We are used to paying for things via subscriptions. Our Netflix accounts, our Amazon Prime accounts, Uber and Lyft have launched monthly incentives, which brings down the cost of rides. So we are living in an economy where consumers are used to subscriptions. And we know that this is one of the most sustainable revenue streams for nonprofits, is to build a strong recurring donor program or a membership program, like many of you have through your YMCAs. A recurring upgrade, though, is just a really great way to sort of operationalize this in a giving experience. So through Fundraise giving forms, when someone's coming to give under $125, we'll automatically prompt them to make a smaller gift, but on a monthly basis, which increases the lifetime value of the donor. This is an extremely effective tool in helping turn one-time donors into repeat donors. We all know the national stat: 46% of donors are not going to come back and donate next year as a one-time donor. And so the best way to lock in strong retention is through recurring upgrades, getting that second and third and fourth gift to build loyalty within your donor base. The next thing is abandoned donation pop-up notifications. So we're all guilty of this. We all have probably 15 tabs open right now on our Chrome or Safari, whatever you use. And it's so easy for the donor mid-transaction to get distracted, right? Maybe something is happening at home or at work, and they just don't finish that donation. Well, when you're shopping online, you're constantly reminded to go complete that checkout. You're getting served retargeting ads on Instagram. You're getting emails of your cart still, has items in it that has not been purchased. Why don't we provide this level of convenience to our donors? And so we have the ability through the Fundraise giving experience for you to provide pop-ups to remind the donor to complete their donation. It will drop them right back where they left off in the giving experience, just in a super easy and efficient way to capture that intent, because the intent was there. They came, they wanted to process the donation, but they got distracted. So how do we recapture that intent through convenience to the donor? Okay, there's a lot of hype, a lot of talk about AI in the nonprofit and YMCA space, right? We're all asking, what is the application of AI for us? How does this make us better fundraisers, campaigners, workers, and so forth? Our view on AI is that it has the ability to be a force multiplier and to help you scale personalization. And so one area that we've been hyper focused for the last couple of years is basically ensuring that the ask string on the giving form is relevant to the donor. It helps basically anchor the giving amounts around the individual's giving history, maybe their last donation size, maybe the device type they own, because there's a lot we can learn from device types in terms of what the average gift would be, the time of day someone's coming to give, the zip code that they live in. These are all things that should influence what numbers we're showing a donor when they're coming organically to give on our website. And leveraging AI to be able to personalize at scale in this area is becoming more and more important. And I think the practical sort of application here is, if I'm someone that's giving $10,000 to your association, and I come to the giving form and I see a string between $25 and $500, that doesn't seem super relevant to me. Because that's not the gift that I've given before. I want to give something that's more in line with my giving history and my giving behavior. And so personalizing the ask string, I think, is an incredible way to increase your overall efficiency as an organization. Asset-based giving. This is an exciting trend. It's an area that I'm extremely passionate about. I heard this stat at a fundraising conference several years ago, and it stuck with me. But basically, 97% of the wealth in the United States is not held in cash. All of our fundraising is optimized for 3% of individuals' wealth, with 97% of it is in assets like stocks, in crypto, securities, donor advised funds, things of that nature. And so how are we thinking about incorporating that into the giving experience? At Funraise, we've brought stock gifting, DAF giving directly into the flow of a giving form, because we know that when you provide awareness to a donor and they understand, oh, I can give through my donor advised fund, they will likely give you a much larger gift than if they were going to give with their credit card. So asset-based giving is super interesting. And for those of you who maybe are new to DAFs, donor advised funds, or maybe have never even heard that term before, basically a DAF is like a charitable giving account. It's our friends at Chariot. They like to use an example of it's kind of like a gift card. If you were to give a gift card for someone's birthday, that person has to use that gift card for the place you bought it for. That's it, and that's the only thing they can use it for. When someone puts money into their DAF account, it's irrevocable. They could only use it for charity. And the stats around DAFs are pretty mind-boggling. As of 2025, a new report came out. There is $400 billion sitting in donor advised fund accounts as of today. $400 billion. That can solve a lot of the world's biggest problems. We just need to make it easy for these donors to give. The median size of an account is $135,000 and the average is 141. So these are major donors, individuals who give at pretty large amounts, and therefore you should make it extremely accessible to provide that to your donors. If you're interested in learning more specifically about this, there's a QR code. You can meet with Dani and she can show you how that flow works in the giving experience, because we've just seen it to be super effective for organizations and YMCAs. And so take a look at that if there's interest. The last thing I want to talk a little bit about gifts, sorry, stocks. Stocks are an interesting asset because a donor has the ability to give a lot more above maybe what their capacity is, especially when the stock has appreciated, right? So that stock giving is on the rise. It's up 20% in 2025. And I think the important thing to know, especially as you're thinking about planning your annual campaigns, is that 80% of stock gifts, or sorry, 60% of stock gifts are given after Thanksgiving. And so when you think about your annual campaign and the timing of your annual campaign, and your ability to accept stock donations towards that annual campaign, think about that from a data perspective. 60% given after Thanksgiving. It's pretty wild. But the average stock gift is $8,500, and so it's a meaningful contribution, and it's something that you can make incredibly easy for your donor to do. It's a lot of information. We're happy to share these points with you afterwards. But I'm going to pass the screen over to Dani to take it from here.
Thanks, Justin. Before we do that, should we maybe do another spin of the
I
wheel?
totally forgot to do all the spins. So we've got three
Let's
spins that
do.
we need to
Let's
do.
do
All right.
them.
Thank you for the reminder. Yes,
I got your all's back.
let's do that. Let me pull this up here for it. So let me get into full mode here and spin.
All right, Jenna Kingsley on the board.
Congrats. You got 10 points. Let's give it another spin to catch up here. Who's our next winner of 10?
Nicole Lovejoy.
Love that last name. That's an awesome. I mean, like that's such a great last name. Congratulations, Nicole. And let's give it one more spin. Lori Bray.
Lori. I know you, Lori. Congrats.
Okay.
Yay.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thanks for covering our first few points there, Justin. As Justin mentioned, I'm gonna kind of put some of this into practical examples and some demo here. So, as you saw, we've talked about a really great donation experience. We've talked about all the ways we can maximize gifts, but I really want to show you this in action, and how our YMCAs are putting exactly what Justin shared to the test. Typically, our YMCAs combine these strategies that Justin shared into a really impactful annual campaign. And the way that they're doing that is they're digitizing it. That's usually one of the first things we see our YMCA clients do once they sign on to Funraise, is to create a really great annual campaign. Usually they're bringing peer-to-peer into it. And we've just seen that work so much better than just a generic giving form. Hey, give to our annual campaign. How do we really elevate that experience? I want to show you an example here today. This is a live Funraise customer, Los Altos, based out of Long Beach. So those of us that are headed to NATO, we can see some of this in action. But what you're looking at is a Funraise campaign site. This is built on our tools, but of course tailored to the YMCA message here. A few things I want to point out that this YMCA is doing really well. First of all, they're leveraging a live progress bar. So we can see they are super close to hitting their annual goal, which is amazing. Usually that helps get people excited, helps encourage folks to give. We can see they've almost impacted 2,000 lives just with what they've raised through this annual campaign. They're implementing all of those bells and whistles that Justin mentioned on the donation form. They've got recurring giving. They've got an AI ask string here. They're leveraging those DAF and stock donations as well as their digital wallet. So again, kind of tying in those pieces of that strategy right here in their annual campaign. Something else that this, oh yeah, and there's that abandoned donation pop-up. It's not going to let me forget. Even if I come back to the site another day, I can pick up where I left off. I love highlighting this example as well because they do a great job of contextualizing some gift amounts here. Usually, what I see with membership based organizations is there's always that push and pull of how do I get a due paying member to become a donor. And oftentimes, one of the biggest and best ways to do that is to really spell out and explain to a member why they should give and what impact their gift would make. Here, I can clearly see if I were to donate $300, I'm going to be able to give the life-saving skill of swim lessons to two children. Or maybe I can provide childcare for a family that otherwise couldn't afford it. These tangible impacts to their gifts is a great way to encourage folks to give. And again, they're making it really easy for folks to be able to come in and do that. Again, this is a really beautifully designed page. I'm actually going to show you how they're built too, just so you can see a peek behind the scenes. But one last strategy that I want to show here that they've got cooking is their peer-to-peer. So this YMCA does a great job of leveraging their board members, their campaigners, really anyone that's wanting to give back to the organization. They have the ability to create their own pages, share why they want to fundraise for the why. Of course, all those bells and whistles of the donation experience come into play here. These campaigners can easily share on social or share this with their network, but that is typically what we see kind of take that fundraising effort to the next level, is really to enable those ambassadors to easily fundraise on behalf of the Y. This is a great way to get an organic audience with new donors. So it's just a really good example of kind of all of those strategies put into action. In fact, this YMCA, we've actually done a case study on them because they're one of our longest standing Y clients and have just implemented the Funraise platform to the T. And we can see that in the numbers. They've grown over 2.5x in the last 4 years, raised over $1 million from over 5,000 donors. I showed you that peer-to-peer feature. They've enabled over 600 peer-to-peer fundraisers to advocate on their behalf. So it's definitely like a classic use case of Funraise and how they're using our tools. So wanted to show you that. I'll also show you, just real quick how that is built and done. So we make it super easy to do that too. Not only do we provide support to do this, our team can come in and help you build these, but even someone like myself who is by trade not a web designer, I can come in here and even while on a webinar and talking and clicking, I can create something that looks really professional and nice. I'm a big fan of like video background that can be really engaging. Say we're fundraising for one of our camps, we can come in here and build something that is really intuitive. We can have countdowns if this is time bound. We can come in and add those impact tiles like you saw on Long Beach's site. So, just want to kind of show you that super easy for our Y clients to be able to whip these up, in a matter of a few clicks. So wanted to show you that. Justin also mentioned that we've got a very exciting new feature. So I know we've got some existing customers here on this call. So and some folks that are in active conversations, and any of the folks that are new too, this is your opportunity to get kind of exclusive first sneak peek at this new feature, and that's our pledge automation. So super excited to share this with you all today. You all are some of the very first folks that I'm demoing this for, so thank you for being my guinea pigs. We've designed this feature, as you can imagine, with YMCAs specifically in mind. In fact, we crowdsourced feedback and research from our existing YMCA clients. Special shout out to YMCA of Dayton. I know you all were very critical in helping us launch this. So thank you all. And we know that pledges are a core part of the way that YMCA's fundraise, and that managing pledges can sometimes be a bit difficult to track, to report on, to make easy to access for staff and campaigners. So with this new feature, we're making it super easy for campaigners and YMCA staff alike to fulfill pledge payments, to give them access to be able to have more control and visibility into attainment in real time. And so I want to jump in and show you that real quick. And again, if this is something you're curious about or interested in, we've got that QR code here. I'll have you all, you have the opportunity to scan that as well and meet with us. But what I'm pulling up here, for those that aren't familiar, this is the back end of Funraise. There's plenty of ways to use this to manage your donor stewardship and report here. But what we're really going to focus on is that new pledge feature. You'll see that titled commitments here. So what I can do as a YMCA staff member, if someone has raised their hand, they want to pledge a gift amount, I can come in here and add that. Perhaps I'm getting a $1,000 pledge here today, going to be fulfilled over the course of a year. I'll go ahead and make sure that that's added to that supporter's profile. So I've tied it to the supporter. I can even come in and add a payment method. But what's super exciting too is I can also make sure that this is being reflected on our annual campaign page. So this is where, on that progress bar, I can see these pledges also attributing to that live thermometer. So I've gone ahead and created a new commitment. We can see that right here in the platform. So I've pledged to $1,000 this year. We can see I haven't made any payments towards it yet. There's $1,000 remaining. What that means is anytime I make a gift, or Dani, the supporter here, makes a gift, any gift that comes through is going to attribute to that pledge attainment and start working that number down. So that's automated, nothing extra you all need to do there. So that's exciting. Pledge payments can also be added as a YMCA staff. You can come in here and add a new payment, whether that's offline or online, or as a charge. We can come in and make payments towards that pledge. As a YMCA staff member, I can come in here and report on these pledges. I can create some views around amounts, due dates, how much is left. I can create dashboards. So there's going to be a lot of visuals here that you can help to report on and make sure that you're forecasting the proper amounts through these pledges year over year. And then the last piece that I want to talk about with this feature is, as some may know, we do have a donor portal. Super convenient for donors to be able to manage their gifts, access receipts, access annual summaries, manage their peer-to-peer pages, you name it. And that's what I've opened up here. But now we've also added that pledge or commitment piece as well. We can see that $1,000 pledge that I just added to the Funraise platform is already here in my donor portal. As a campaigner, I can see where I'm at in terms of pacing for my pledge attainment. If I'm a campaigner that's perhaps soliciting gifts out in the wild, I can even come in here and make a payment towards that pledge. Maybe a business that I've solicited has, graciously offered to make $100 gift. I can come in here and add that. Oops, looking a little too quick here for you, but we can submit that payment and charge it right here in platform. That's going to reflect right here on that payment. So now I can see, great, I'm 10% of the way done. That's super motivating for me as a campaigner to be able to see this in real time. As a YMCA staff member, it means you're not having to pull a report or send these to your campaigners to try and keep them up to speed. But of course, you'll have great visuals and scheduled reports that you can build in the Funraise platform. But all that to say, I'm really excited about this feature as someone who has been working with YMCAs pretty nonstop over the last several years. We're really excited to show this commitment to the YMCA strategy. Again, if any of you all are interested in learning more or want to strategize, I'm more than happy to offer some free time, even just to kind of audit your giving experience or talk through what your all's annual strategy is, or even share how otherwise are using us. There's plenty of other ways that WISE are using us for their events, for auctions, you name it. But again, today, some of the top trends that we wanted to cover. So hopefully it was educational, exciting. I think we should do another spin before we wrap up here. And we're really excited to see those of you that will be in Long Beach. If you won't be, of course, we're here always as resources and excited to continue those conversations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dani. Really excited to see how YMCAs can use some of that new functionality. And it would not be right to end without a couple more spins. And for those of you who are asking some questions in the comments, we've received those questions and we're going to follow up shortly after this webinar directly to the email that you registered with. So we will ensure to answer any questions that went unanswered in the chat. So be on the lookout for an email coming from us to answer those questions. All right, let's give it two more spins before we wrap up. The next 10-point winner, Joey, congratulations on 10 points
All
to
right.
your Y. You recognize that name, Dani? Is that why you jumped
No,
in
I'm
there?
just excited
Oh,
for Joey. I don't.
awesome.
Joey, we should meet, but no, I don't know that.
And just as a reminder, these points will be added to the campaign totals for your association. We update on Fridays. So you'll see these updates take place on tomorrow for the campaign page. And so some of you, I think we're going to have some new leaders on the leaderboard based off of these 10 points given out here. So another a winner here.
All right,
Rachel,
Rachel.
congratulations on 10 more points. Again, if you'd like to connect directly with Dani and learn more about these giving trends and how you can apply them to your annual campaign and other strategies, please reach out to Dani. But we thank you so much for participating today, for giving us 45 minutes of your time. And good luck to all of you participating. So excited to meet you at NATO if you will be there. Please come say hello. We'll have a booth and a workshop as well. So we look forward to meeting many of you in person in May.
Thank you all. And Tammy, I saw you had more questions. I put my link in the chat. So to schedule some time, I'd be happy to address those. Kirk, I saw you had some questions about Daxco integration. Our transactions sync over to Daxco automatically. So I'd be happy to talk more about that as well. Feel free to use that link. Thank you all. This was really fun.
Thanks to everyone. Have a great rest of the week.